When we begin to walk a path of deeper awareness, it's easy to harbor a quiet, secret hope that awakening will act as a sort of spiritual eraser, instantly dissolving the complexities and irritations of our daily existence. We imagine a future self, floating serenely above the fray, untouched by deadlines, unmoved by conflict, unburdened by mundane responsibilities. But the truth is far more gentle and ultimately more profound and sustainable. This journey was never about being airlifted out of your life. It is about being invited into a radically new, more honest, and more compassionate relationship with all of it. Your responsibilities, your swirling emotions, your personal history, and the unpredictable challenges that life will inevitably bring. And sometimes, this fundamental shift in perspective can feel confusing, even overwhelming. The old patterns fight for survival. The mind complains that this isn't what it signed up for, and you might find yourself wondering, am I doing this wrong? If you are struggling to bridge the gap between the profound stillness you touch in moments of quiet contemplation and the chaotic, beautiful mess of your everyday reality, please know this: you are not alone. This is the central work, and there are simple, deeply grounded steps you can take right where you are to weave this presence into the very fabric of your being. The first step, the radical return to simplicity. In a world that shouts more, true integration begins with a whisper of less. The initial enthusiasm on this path often leads us to believe we need to do more meditation, more hours on the cushion, more spiritual texts to consume, more complex rituals to perform. We turn our seeking into another form of striving, another item on our endless to-do list. But integration is not about addition, it's about subtraction. It's about gently peeling back the layers of mental complication and coming back again and again to what is fundamentally already here. The most powerful practice is not the 2-hour meditation you can't find time for. It's the one conscious breath you can. Try this. Become a connoisseur of the pause. Cultivate the art of the intentional stop. Before you step into a meeting, instead of mentally rehearsing your points, just stop. Feel your feet on the floor. Take one single conscious breath. Notice the air entering and leaving your body. Before you speak to a loved one or a colleague, pause for the duration of one breath. Let the mental momentum settle. Before your hand reaches for your phone in that automatic compulsive gesture, interrupt the automation. Pause. Breathe once with full awareness. This is not a small thing. That single intentional breath is a revolutionary act. It is a subtle but powerful shift from being lost in the content of your thoughts to resting in the awareness that is aware of the thoughts. It is a micro moment of freedom. Integration does not begin with grand, sweeping gestures. It begins with these tiny, faithful returns to the sanctuary of the present moment. It is in these accumulated moments that the foundation of a conscious life is built, brick by humble brick. The second step, releasing the spiritual ideal. The mind is a master image maker, and it loves to create a blueprint for the spiritual person. This idealized figure is perpetually calm, endlessly patient, wears a gentle smile, and is never, ever triggered. They don't feel road rage. They don't get snippy when they're tired. They have transcended all pettiness. Holding onto this image is one of the greatest sources of suffering on the path. It sets up a constant silent war between how you are and how you think you're supposed to be. When frustration arises, the mind doesn't just see frustration, it sees failure. When old familiar patterns of anxiety or judgment resurface, you assume you've lost ground, that your practice isn't working. What if we were to completely reframe this? Spirituality is not about becoming a polished, perfected, idealized version of yourself. It is about having the courage to be fully, authentically present with the truth of your actual experience, exactly as it is, even when, especially when, it is messy, uncomfortable, and decidedly unenlightened. These difficult moments are not interruptions to your path. They are the very raw material of it. They are the fire in which your awareness is tempered and strengthened. The frustration that arises in a traffic jam is not an obstacle to your peace. It is an invitation to meet frustration with curiosity instead of condemnation. The stress that shows up before a presentation is not a sign of a weak practice. It is a call to bring a compassionate awareness to the sensations of stress in your body. The goal is not to never feel triggered. The goal is to change your relationship to being triggered. Can you meet the triggered part of yourself not with judgment and a desire to eradicate it, but with a gentle, inquisitive kindness? This act of meeting your inner world with gentleness, especially when it is stormy, is not a passive resignation. It is one of the most potent and robust forms of spiritual integration there is. You grow not by pretending to be healed, but by being brutally honest about where you are wounded. This honesty is the very soil in which true transformation takes root. The third step, the sanctification of the ordinary. We often fall into the trap of compartmentalization. We have our spiritual practice, perhaps 20 minutes in the morning, and then we have our life, the other 23 hours and 40 minutes. We step off the meditation cushion and feel as if we are stepping out of a sacred space and back into a profane world. The great integration is the dissolution of this artificial boundary. You do not need special conditions, a quiet room, a specific cushion, the perfect incense to be present. Presence is not a location you visit. It is a quality of attention you bring. The entire world becomes your monastery, and every action becomes a potential portal into the sacred. Washing dishes can be a profound meditation. Instead of rushing through it to get to the next thing, feel the warmth of the water on your skin. Hear the sound of the plates clinking. See the shimmer of the bubbles. Be fully there. Walking to your car can be a walking meditation. Feel the contact of your foot with the earth. Notice the air on your face. See the world around you as if for the first time. Listening to someone can be the deepest practice of all. To truly listen, without planning your response, without judgment, just offering the space of your silent, attentive presence. This is a great gift. Begin to notice the micro sensations of life. Notice the movement of your hands as you type an email. Notice the subtle sensations in your body as you wait in line at the grocery store. Notice the tone and texture of your own voice when you speak to a child or a colleague. These are not insignificant details. These tiny, almost imperceptible moments of embodied awareness are like drops of water. Alone, they seem small, but over time, they accumulate, and they slowly, inexorably, wear away the stone of your separateness. The division between my spiritual practice and my daily life begins to blur, then fade until it vanishes entirely. What remains is one seamless, continuous, flowing experience of being here, being aware, being awake, right in the middle of it all. The fourth step, embracing the rhythm of expansion and contraction. A vital part of integration that is often overlooked is understanding the natural rhythm of the inner life. There will be days, even weeks, where presence feels effortless. The mind is clear, the heart is open, and a sense of ease permeates your activities. This is a phase of expansion. Then, inevitably, there will be times of contraction. The mind feels cloudy. Old emotional wounds seem closer to the surface, and the practice feels like a chore. It is crucial to recognize that this oscillation is not a sign that you are progressing and then regressing. It is the very pulse of a living, breathing spiritual life. The phase of contraction is not a failure. It is a period of integration and deep inner work. Just as a muscle must contract to grow stronger, the psyche often needs to pull inward to process and consolidate the insights gained during the expansive phases. When you find yourself in a period of contraction, the wisest response is not to force yourself into a state of artificial brightness or to redouble your efforts with a grim determination. The practice here is one of softness and permission. Allow the heaviness to be there. Bring a kind attention to the feeling of being closed or distant. Sometimes, the most advanced practice you can do on a difficult day is to simply say to yourself, "It's okay to not feel okay." This, too, is part of the path. This non-resistance to the downswing is what allows it to move through you, teaching you what it must before it naturally gives way to a new expansion. The fifth step, finding the silent witness in the midst of activity. Ultimately, the goal of integration is to discover the part of you that remains undisturbed, even as life continues its unpredictable dance. This is often called the silent witness, the awareness that can observe a thought without becoming it, that can feel an emotion without being drowned by it. The beautiful secret is that you don't need to be in a cave to find this witness. You can find it right now, in the middle of your busy day. The next time a wave of anxiety or irritation arises, see if you can make a subtle inner split. One part of you is fully feeling the anxiety, the tightness in the chest, the racing thoughts. But can you find another part, a quieter, more background part, that is simply neutrally observing the anxiety? You are not trying to stop the feeling. You are simply discovering the space around the feeling. This is the anchor in the storm. This witnessing awareness is your true home. The more you learn to touch this awareness in small moments throughout the day, while in conversation, while working, while feeling joy or sorrow, the more it becomes a stable, abiding presence. You begin to realize that you are not the changing weather of your thoughts and emotions. You are the vast, open sky that holds it all. You don't need to escape your life to live spiritually. In fact, escape is the very opposite of integration. You simply need to learn how to inhabit your life more fully, more courageously, more awake to every single sensation, emotion, and experience. Presence isn't something you schedule. It's something you carry in your chest, like a quiet, steady flame that you learn to tend, and which then illuminates everything you touch. And the more you practice this, the more you return to the profound simplicity of the breath, the more you release the heavy burden of spiritual expectations, the more you infuse the small, ordinary, overlooked moments with the light of your awareness, and the more you embrace the full rhythm of your inner seasons, the more your entire life organically, naturally, becomes a living, breathing expression of your inner awakening. Remember, this integration is not a destination to be reached, but a process to be lived. It unfolds at its own natural pace, not when you are forcing it, but precisely when you soften and allow yourself to be exactly where you are, exactly as you are. Every moment, whether blissful or difficult, is an invitation. Every breath is a doorway. Every challenge is a secret handshake from the universe, asking you to come home to the truth of who you are. And the more you honor those gentle, persistent invitations, the more this presence ceases to be something you do and becomes simply and undeniably what you are.